What's up, everybody? Alex from Columbus here, and welcome back to episode number 30 of What's on Tap, the Beer and Vinyl Weekly Wrap. All right, hey, here in the Midwest, and I know across the country, unless you live in like California or something, we are about to get absolutely patty-waddled by some snow here in the next 2 days, and I couldn't be more excited. I actually had a trip planned out to California, which sounds significantly better, that had to get canceled for some other reasons. But I was like, you know what? Silver lining, man. I want to stay in, and we're about to get like a foot of snow, apparently. I mean, they say a foot. It usually means 3 inches. That is something that I can relate to. But it's episode 30, man. Let's get into a beer. And I think we got a good one here. We got a good one. We got a semi-local one. And listen, sub-zero temperatures. It's getting below zero, a foot of snow. If this isn't stout season, man, I don't know what is. And I'm excited for this. We're going Dark Apparition from Jackie O's. Now, Jackie O's Brewery, man, I mean, at this point, they're a pretty decent sized, regional brewery, I guess. They're out of Athens, Ohio, which is kind of, southern, southeast Ohio. But really, Athens is known as the home of Ohio University. Not Ohio State, but OU, Ohio University. And Jackie O's been in the game for a long time. They do some great stuff. They do great IPAs. They do good haze. Their barrel age program is outstanding. And I think their stout game is pretty strong too. I was happy to find these in a can because they used to be just in bottles. And they were something like, I kid you not, like, $8 to $12 a bottle. 4-pack of Dark Apparition here, Imperial Stout, was $12.99. I mean, it's still, $3-4 or whatever a beer. But, I mean, this is 10% here, and, it's going to be well made, all that type of stuff. Commercial description here. The hauntingly good brew in your hand is rife with dark complexities. Sounds like me. A monolithic maltiness and decadent notes of dark chocolate, toasted caramel, and rich coffee have made this hallowed stout a cult classic since 2007. Share Dark Apparition with friends and family and celebrate the eerily spirited history of Athens, Ohio. Well, no friends or family for me, except you all are my friends and family. Jackie O's Dark Apparition, sick can. 10% alcohol by volume. I've had this out for maybe 25 minutes or so. I do not like Imperial Stouts or any stouts, ice cold. I prefer them get up to, cellar/room temperature. And nothing too fancy. A little basic glass here. All right. She's coming out dark in the glass, but as you pour it, it's definitely more of a brown, maybe even a little slightest streak of red in there. But pretty much pitch black in the glass. You got about a 1 finger of certain, not even off-white, pretty khaki, nearing brown colored head. Even up to the light here, it is pitch black, man. Maybe just a small shade of red glare across the bottom. And that head, man, is frothy. It looks like a frappuccino type of head, man. That looks, you get the idea. Man, and that smells like an Imperial Stout. What can you say? Big malty, roasty. Doesn't smell overly sweet, although you do get a nice little kick of chocolate there, especially dark chocolate. I get that. This is going to be a very odd, probably off flavor/off scent that I get sometimes on stouts. But I get like this almost metallic-y kind of thing. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's just my, like ass or something. But yeah, it smells good. It smells subtle. It smells old school. I don't think this is going to be an overly or even a sweet beer. I think this is going to be a pretty old school Imperial that is more focused on complexity, some bitterness, big malty backbone. We'll see. Hey, episode 30. Stay warm out there. Cheers, everybody. Okay. Ooh. I was right. This is old school, man. If you're like a fan of like North Coast Old Rasputin, old school Founders Imperial, this is old school Imperial Stout. You know, when I say old school, nowadays so many Imperial Stouts are full of adjuncts. And look, if done correctly, they're delicious, right? They'll put marshmallows and caramel and coffee and cum and all these different things in there. And you know, in an effort to make them so sweet and so drinkable. And a lot of times, again, they're amazing. That's not how they used to do this stuff, man. Back in the day when you got an Imperial Stout, it was big, malty, bitter, complex. This is not a sweet beer. There's almost a little bit of a smoky kind of tobacco backbone. Bitter on the end. Bitter like coffee grounds. Not like flavor of coffee, but like the actual coffee grounds. I mean, this is, if you're used to a sweet beer, this is a little bit tough because this has got some mass in the back. I tell you what though, given the evening, it's perfect for what we're having. This is, that's like a man's beer, right? That's a little bit more mature than some of this other stuff. Anyway, great beer, Dark Apparition from Jackie O's. If you don't know Jackie O's, get on it. Fantastic stuff all around. And yeah, okay, what are we getting into? Well, the first thing, we'll roadmap this. I'm going to show one record that just got released literally a couple of days ago that I'm so excited about. I'm going to show all the stuff I've been listening to the last week. A lot of live stuff. That was both intentional and a bit of an accident. And then I got about $5 or $6 bangers I want to show you. So a little of this, a little of that. All right. First things first, this came out this week, and man, am I excited for it. And that is The Only Truth, the record by Morley Gray, a classic Ohio band from outside of the Youngstown, Ohio area. So that's northeast Ohio. Big power trio, man. This is hard rock. This is kind of, I guess, I don't know if you would call it metal, but I mean, this is heavy hard rock, psychedelic, a little bit garagey, but absolutely incredible. This came out originally in 1972, I think. And originals of this, I think, are like $750 to $1,000. No joke, I'm finding an original here. But this was recently reissued by Peppermint Productions out of Youngstown. Now, if you're into that whole, you know, lost hard rock, psychedelic reissue labels like Garrison or Riding Easy, the stuff that Noble Records is doing now, this is right up your alley. In fact, Dylan down at Noble Records has a Noble Records variant of this. So he's worked with Peppermint now a couple of times. In fact, Peppermint was the original recording studio, I believe, of Poobah. And so Poobah, another Youngstown band that Noble Records had some familiarity with. So yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, any Ohio people especially, check this out. A great, I don't know if it's a great story, but wild story, really cool. This is on the limited Peppermint, I don't know what color they call this. I don't know that it matters, but we'll show it anyway. It's like a dark red, I don't know, throwing like a nebula. It probably just looks red, but if I tilt it just enough, you can kind of see it's a little bit more like marbled-ish. So yeah, Morley Gray, again, if you're into that early 70s, lost hard rock, psych stuff, man, check it out. All right, let's get into it. So, well, speaking of lost hard rock, psych type stuff, I am continuously impressed with the work that the Jimi Hendrix estate does with these releases. They typically always do something for Record Store Day. If not, they're releasing like 3 or 4 live or lost tapes. The sound quality on them is typically outstanding. They're so well done. I think they work with QRP on the pressing. And this was a Record Store Day release, Black Friday from a couple of years ago. And it's Songs for Groovy Children, the Fillmore East concerts. So this essentially, I believe this was part of like a much bigger box set years ago. I think probably a CD box set. And so this is just like a highlights per se, but this was New Year's Eve at Fillmore East. So this is the same series of shows of the Band of Gypsy stuff. So you got obviously Buddy Miles ripping it back there and Billy Cox. This is really cool stuff. A great companion piece to Band of Gypsies. And yeah, again, they do a spectacular job. And, you know, they reissued now the whole Hendrix catalog. And I know people and collectors want to be after those originals and, you know, give me the tricolor reprise and all that type of stuff, which I get. But, you know, you can get like the Jimi Hendrix, like the first 2-3 Hendrix records are like typically $15, $18, $20. Really well done. They sound great. I mean, bang for your buck is fantastic. Now, this is kind of an important record because this, I remember, was the first Tone Poet I ever bought, and therefore maybe one of the first jazz albums I ever bought. At some point years ago, I was following all these YouTube channels, and everybody was talking about jazz all the time, and this just happened to be one of the recent Tone Poets that came out that everybody was gooping their shorts about, and it's Katanga by Curtis Amy. Great cover. You really got to kind of lean in without that glare. Curtis Amy, a tenor sax player. This was originally released in 1963, I believe, on the Pacific Jazz label. And yeah, a pretty, I don't want to say unknown group. I mean, I think it just doesn't have the heavy hitters that you would expect on here. You have Curtis Amy on tenor and soprano sax, Dupree Bolton, I don't know, on trumpet, Jack Wilson on piano, Ray Crawford on guitar, Vic Gaskin on bass, and Doug Sides on drums. So definitely not like a huge all-star lineup of who's people, but man, I remember this being my first Tone Poet, and it still smokes. And so it was really quite rewarding going back to that and kind of hearing what all began. You know, the reality is I'm into jazz now, and you could say that that's because I heard this record and dug it and wanted to keep going. So that's how it goes. All right, I listened to this today, man. I don't have volume 1. The reason that is because I remember picking this up for $1 at some point because the cover's having some issues. But man, this smoked, man. Cream, Live Cream, volume 2. Again, I don't have volume 1, but these were recordings from 1968. And man, this is hard, heavy, nasty, bluesy, outstanding stuff. You do have a couple of big hits on here, White Room and Sunshine of Your Love, which are obviously fantastic. But for me, man, Deserted Cities of the Heart is absolutely scorching. So good. Of course, Tales of Brave Ulysses, and then their version of Steppin' Out, man. This is an absolute corker, and I need volume 1. I kind of forgot how good it was, man. But it sounds great, especially Crank It Loud and Proud, whatever you want to say. All right, we're fully in like live double album mode now, and I wanted to go back to this release. And man, this underrated gem for me. 2 for the Show, Kansas's live record, I think from 77, 78. This was on there, I believe, their Point of No Return tour. And I mean, for the Kansas fans, you know, Kansas is a tough, well, they're not tough. Kansas is a band that people outside of the U.S. have no idea what or who they are outside of Dust in the Wind and Carry On Wayward Son. A lot of people in the U.S., those were staples on like AOR radio, but they don't know, man, Kansas is the perpetual, iconic, classic American progressive rock band. And just listen to this record, man, to hear them do it live. It is absolutely insane. And a hell of a set list, man. They got, you know, again, for the proggers out there, you know, they close with Magnum Opus. They got Closet Chronicles on there. Journey from Mariah Braun. Absolutely perfect on this record, man. You got Paradox. You got Icarus. Born on Wings of Steel. This is so good, man. I love Kansas. And for anybody who says that Kansas is not prog, just tell me you've never listened to Kansas. Like, outside of those 2 songs, like, listen to those first 5 records or this live record. Incredible. Here's a fun record that I'll just show it. Okay. Black Sabbath, Live, Evil. Their first official live record, because Live at Last or whatever it's called was not approved by the band or whatever. So this is Dio era Sabbath, doing both Dio era songs. I think this is on the Mob Rules tour, or the Heaven and Hell tour. No, this is on the Mob Rules tour. So they're calling this the first official live record from Sabbath. Ronnie James Dio singing. Although, of course, I love that Black Sabbath, they're just calling Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Ronnie Dio, with a special thanks to Jeff Nichols. Okay, I can get that. And then a special thanks to Vinny Appice. He was a whole ass fucking member. I don't know, Sabbath people, does that? I don't know. A special thanks to Vinny Appice? Whatever, man. But, this is always interesting. Obviously, the Dio tracks sound great. It's interesting hearing Ronnie do the Ozzy stuff. There are some tracks where it works out really well, and other tracks it just feels weird, man. And you're kind of reminded, obviously Ozzy's not exactly Freddie Mercury, but there's no one else that really sounds like him. I mean, that was such a unique voice that, it's interesting. Even arguably the best singer in history of rock and roll and heavy metal, still it feels a little bit weird him trying to sing Ozzy parts. But I know there are some production issues. The sound here doesn't completely bother me. There's very little fan noise or audience noise, but still a cool record, and hearing those kind of one-of-a-kind renditions of those songs. I had not listened to this record in a while, and I'm glad I did. The second from the Cars, Candy O from 1979. Now, the Cars, interestingly enough, are known as a Boston band, but they have a ton of Ohio connections. Rick Ocasek is from Ohio. I believe Elliot Easton is also from Ohio. I think they're both from the Cleveland area. In fact, Rick Ocasek went to Bowling Green State University, which is where your boy went to school. That is my alma mater. So, anyway, they all met in Boston though. Or no, was it maybe Benjamin Orr and Elliot Easton studied at Berkeley or something? It doesn't matter. Anyway, man, those first few Cars records are so good. I mean, that debut is just a greatest hits machine. Obviously, this did not have the crazy hits on it, but I will say it starts with Let's Go, which was by far the biggest hit from this record. And It's All I Can Do. What a perfect kind of power pop AOR song that is. Interesting band. To me, this has always been a band that I feel power pop is probably a better name for them than new wave. I never felt that they really fit into, to me, they don't sound like the Human League. And I mean latter era Human League, Don't You Want Me Baby Human League. Some purists will say that his heyday was over before this, but I still love this album, and I love the couple that came after it too. I mean, first of all, what a cover that is. Captain Fantastic, the Brown Dirt Cowboy, what was this, 74? 75. Great story, great songs. You got a couple of the classic radio tracks on here, and you got some amazing deep cuts on here that are wonderful. Now, what I found cool about this, I was like, dang, this is kind of a heavy record. Did this one have the posters? I'm second guessing myself. Does this? Oh, here we go, man. I know this is what you people are here to see. We got we got some inserts, baby boy. Elton John shirt, poster, in concert book. Okay, let's see what else is in here. Gonna have some other nonsense in here, eh? Oh yeah, here we go. We got the lyrics book, man. So maybe it doesn't have the poster, but this is one heck of a lyrics book. Whew. Spare no expense. Anyway, that type of stuff is cool. I love that record, man. And I know this is probably a deep cut. Shit, is it Blue Moves or Blue Waves? It's Blue Moves, right? I think that's a great record. The second double record he did. Anyway, I'm just crushing it, man. That beer must be hitting. Let me just put that back in its little hole. You know what? Is it going in? Is it going in? Went in. Anyway, appreciate that. Let's go back to some jazz, man. I had a moment in time where I was after everything by this guy. And he had a short career, died early, so there's still a handful I'm missing, but I went all in with Eric Dolphy. I remember I heard Out to Lunch the first time on Blue Note. I think it came out in 1964, and it blew my mind. I mean, that was kind of the first time I was hearing like savant, free type stuff. but still not, it's not Sun Ra free. Anyway, this is Far Cry with Booker Little. Of course, you have Jackie Baird on piano, Ron Carter on bass, and Roy Haynes on drums. You know, at this point, this is not too much out there. Some of that Prestige stuff is not too far out there, but man, I was all in on Eric Dolphy. Of course, he's on alto sax, bass clarinet, and flute, kind of multi-instrumentalist, obviously. Anything that he could blow would make a nice sound, so they say. But yeah, this was part of the Prestige series from Analog Productions. Love that hype sticker. Of course, when I say Prestige, this was New Jazz, which I think was a subsidiary of Prestige. Anyway, this originally came out in 1961. Great record, though, man. Eric Dolphy is the man. I need to go back and revisit and fill out some more of the collection with Eric Dolphy stuff because he is that man. All right, more live album fun. And then, I'm not even going to take it out because I don't want to. More album fun, and then I'll get into our dollar holler bangers, man. Live Drugs again. War on Drugs. I love the War on Drugs, man. I saw this tour. In fact, as we're about to get absolutely obliterated by snow, the last time Columbus got snow like that, shut down the whole city. The War on Drugs were in town, and I didn't think I would go. It was also like 2021, so like kind of in the heat of COVID. I remember going and like, there was still mask requirements, and like half the band was in a mask. It was a really bizarre experience. Nobody was there because, again, it was like middle of the pandemic and like this gigantic blizzard just hit. And they did an evening with show. They went 3 hours, man. It was incredible. And that was on this tour supporting their most recent record, I Don't Live Here Anymore. Well, here's what's so annoying. They released this record on vinyl, double LP, and then like 3 weeks later said, oh, here's another version that includes 2 more songs. Fuckers. Anyway, we got a few dollar bangers here. 1, 2, 3, about $6 bangers here. A little of this, a little of that, so let's get after it. All right, we're plugging holes in our CTI and Kudu world, man. A Secret Place, Grover, Washington. All right, so this is such a difficult era because, man, I love CTI. I love the Kudu stuff, man, but it is such a fine line between like, ooh, that is some stanky funk, and ooh, that's some smooth jazz that I'm about to hear in the elevator. And, you know, Grover Washington was sort of the forerunners, leaders of the smooth jazz thing. But also there's some stuff on here that's just so funky and so brilliant and so damn good. So still works for me. 1976, that came out. All right, how about a double shot, man? This was some good stuff. Both these records I listened to, and they're absolutely smoking. It is the second record from Johnny Winter, self-titled. This came out, what, 69, I think? 69? I don't know. How about 69? Man, this is so good, man. And then this live Johnny Winter, and came out a couple years later. I think that gives me now the first 4, maybe the first 5 Johnny Winter records, man. God, they're so good, man. I mean, he is literally someone that he was walking so Stevie Ray Vaughan could run, you know. But to me, it's like, it's not, a lot of the real old school blues I have a hard time getting into because it's just not fiery enough for me, man. This is fiery, in your face, hard rocking shit, man. And I absolutely love it. All right, this is my first record on the famed Windham Hill label, which I had heard about and seen some of, but I didn't even know what they were. And this is Scott Kosu and Eugene Friesen with Reunion from 1986. Okay, so Windham Hill was a record label that started, that really sort of, I don't know, began or popularized or served as a home for a lot of acoustic new age music. So I don't even know how you would describe new age. There's a Wikipedia for it, look it up. But this is very, you know, solo piano a lot of times. This is very classically and jazz influenced. This is your, I don't know, the birds are chirping and it's bright and early on Sunday morning type shit. I will tell you this is absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is, if you like piano jazz, if you know, that sort of thing, you'll like this. This is not going to end up not being your thing, but it's also something you're not going to sing along to, but absolutely beautiful. My first Windham Hill record, and I hope it's not my last, man. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Okay, let's do a double shot of 2 more CTI records. Now, 2 of my CTI records I need top of the want list. I'm just looking to find a good copy for the right price. I found a great copy, but the price was absurd on it, and I'm not doing that shit, man. But someone I've become really impressed with and digging heavily is Bob James. This is Bob James 3, and this is BJ 4. Can you guess the 2 I need? That's right, Bob James 1 and Bob James 2. Keyboard player extraordinaire, man. What a player he is, dude. It's so funky. I need that Bob James 1 and Bob James 2. I need them so bad, man. Especially Bob James 1's got Nautilus on it, which is like one of the highest sampled tracks of all time. It is so funky, man. Great lineups on all here. Again, when you're nearing that sort of mid to late 70s, I think this came out in 76, 77 or something like that. There are times it teeters on smooth, but man, these are still so funky and just incredible. And obviously I just talked about Grover Washington, and he's highlighted big time here. Kind of wish he was actually more on here than he is. Anyway, here was another in the last dollar holler of a band I've heard a lot about. And I think this is their second record, which is fine. I didn't love this. I only gave it a spin once. I enjoyed it. But I think their first record, from what I'm told, is a lot better. And that's the band Detective. Now, look at this. Hot in the Shrink for $1. Come on now. What was this? It Takes One to Know One. Band Detective, they're on Swan Song. So Led Zeppelin's label. I believe this features the great Tony Kaye. Original keyboard player for Yes, and it would come back later, I believe. I'm not as familiar with the rest of the lineup here. You got John Hyde on drums, Bobby Pickett. I don't know if it's that Bobby Pickett. Michael Monarch on guitars, and Michael Desbelles on vocals. I don't know. This is good. I mean, it's rock and roll, man. It's hard rock. It's a little bit funky. I forget. His voice reminded me of somebody, but it was like a week ago. I can't really remember right now. But yeah, I think their first record is probably a lot better. If you all know Detective, then feel free to correct me or tell me I'm right or whatever you want to do. But heck yeah, man, there we go. Thanks for duking it out, listening, all that type of stuff. At this point, man, I need the snow to fall. I need other things to happen. Whatever, it don't matter. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Drink beer if that's what you want to do, or drink whatever you want. And listen to records, man. That's what we do. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.